So there's a lot of complaining about AI, about generative AI, and there's a lot of artists who are very quick to show their true colors. And this is a video on that. Related, and very importantly, I will cover some things. The first is the Marxist analysis of tipping. Examining these things will help us examine libertarianism and the focus of individualism at direct contrast to dedication to the collective and making change systemically. Now, 140 fucking years ago, there was a bunch of people called Luddites. Now, Luddites, they were a group of people who were doing some type of work, and then the capitalists, they came along and said, what can we do? We can make a lot more money and employ a lot less people if we use machines. So they built machines, and that put a lot of people out of work. Now, the Luddites, they said, this isn't fair. We like our fucked up menial jobs. We gotta smash the machines. Now, if you read half of the introductory book to revolutionary theory, the foundation, the earliest fucking thing 140 years ago, it lays out why this is a problem. Now, Luddites, fucking idiots, and instead of them identifying that the problem, that they're in a position where they need to sell their labor to a capitalist class to subsist and meet their basic fucking needs. They're too fucking dumb to identify that. And they said, no, give us our shitty fucked up menial jobs back so we can purchase these fucking things that should be human rights. That was 140 years ago, right? So that has been known and understood for 140 years. And today we have a fuck ton of people doing the same shit. And this is mostly artists. But before that, let's look at a different example. Let's look at one example of libertarians. Remember when the Hollywood people went on strike, when the screenwriters went on strike and the writers went on strike, and all these people had a great moment of solidarity. Hundreds of thousands of these people, all together throughout America. So strong, so inspiring. And then when we had these hundreds of thousands of people rise up to fight the ruling class, what did they do? When it was time to support Palestine, they voted against it. And this is why. Because they're unfucking guided by revolutionary theory. They're libertarian pieces of shit who are dedicated to themselves. Their fucking bag. That's what they're dedicated to. Now that we have these two awful fucking examples of libertarianism out of the way, let's look at a third example of libertarianism. This one, a funny one. There's a group of men who like to hang out with each other and have fun. They also do lots of cocaine and kill lots of people, and they're a group of white nationalists. These Nazis are the hegemon for selling cocaine across North America and much of the world. This group of friends is called the Hells Angels. Now, the Hells Angels protested the legalization of weed in North America because they said, hey bro, this is our fucking industry. We make a fuck ton of money selling this. We don't want this to be legal. We don't want corporations to sell this. We want people to come to us. Which is fucking priceless to me. But now that we have these three different horrible examples, let's look at a Marxist analysis of tipping. So with tipping, you have, first off, it's a racist and sexist institution that men get paid more than women and white people get paid more than black people. So right off the bat, it continues the sexist, misogynist, deeply violent colonial system. Anybody defending that is maintaining things as they are, instead of working with a revolutionary framework of working towards justice. So, Marx's analysis of tipping. There's a worker, they do some labor, and then their boss doesn't pay them enough and instead uses another force to subsidize that. So if we look at the relationships created, if you completely forget about the numbers, forget about the money, forget about all of that, what are we left with? We're left with a worker with subject to some higher force, an outside force. A different relationship is created between the employer and the employee. Instead, the employee is subject to a different force. Now, this different force is quite often fucking scumbags. Scumbags who massively sexually harass this worker. So this is fucking horrific. This is violent as fuck. This worker, they, in a just world, could tell that guy to fuck off. They could ban that guy. That guy could be beaten. There could be an arrest made for sexual harassment, for sexual assault. This is a regular occurrence within North American bars. But because these people are put in this position and they don't have the analysis, they don't talk about that. They say, it's okay, whatever, whatever. I need the tips. I need the money. I'm stuck here. I'm enduring this abuse and this coercion so I could pay my rent, so I could buy whatever, whatever. So that is incredibly fucking frustrating because they are put into the awful position to be focusing on the individual level instead of focusing on the collective. I'm really angry. Yeah, there's a lot of frustration here. But one less frustrating thing is that in Cuba, shout out to Cuba, they have human rights. They have actual human rights where you're guaranteed food, you're guaranteed housing, you're guaranteed shelter, you're guaranteed these things. So there, the servers get paid fuck all, but they're still in a better position than any serving staff in North America. And if you don't treat the servers there with respect, they tell you to get the fuck out, and rightfully so. Now, liberals, and anarchists, massively support tipping because it is an individual thing to do. It is an individual way for them to feel moral. It is them purchasing morality. It is them alleviating their guilt directly with money. Now, for the servers, some of them, that works fine, particularly the white ones, particularly the male ones, particularly the ones who got hired and weren't discriminated against and shut out of that workplace. So what we have is a great volume of people who go in and they go, oh, I tipped 20%. I tipped 25%. I did my part. And their hands are washed. There's nothing done for every other server on that shift. Every case of sexual harassment, every case of sexual violence, their hands are washed of because they paid a particular percentage. And many servers are guilty in soliciting this and upholding this because they too are not studying this and talking about this and saying we need to destroy the material conditions that enable this. We need to grassroots organize to make change collectively to address all the fucking injustice that this industry goes through. But enough about that. Now that I've used all these examples, let's look at artists. Artists, where do I even begin? So many are fucking clueless, for one. But I pity most of them. And by the way, I am a fucking artist, so I get to talk extra shit. I'm also a fucking organizer, which is why I'm heated on this topic. So when we talk about artists, this covers a lot of people, particularly self-employed people are the worst for this. Musicians, male musicians, people always talking about gigs, all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of fucking bullshit, and this is the science behind it. When you live in a particular way, your thinking is shaped by that. It is a basic Marxist philosophy that you think as you live. If you are focused your whole life on sales, that's what you're going to be thinking about. If you're focused your life on helping people, if your job enables you to help people, if your job enables you to uphold violence, that generally determines psychologically what you're going to carry with you, and that's going to affect you deeply, long outside your relationship to your labor. So self-employed people and artists generally are so fucking annoying on this topic because they are purely the most concentrated example of libertarianism, where they are doing the work that they want to do, and they're told that if they do it long enough, life will be good and they will make it. However, the overwhelming fucking bulk and majority of the artists who do make it are fucking nepo babies. So these people are doomed from the start, and they get up in arms about it. They get so fucking heated, so fucking demanding, so fucking stressed out about it, and it's insulting. The level of consciousness is so fucking abysmal. At least servers, they're not happy with the work they're doing. They're openly saying like, dude, this is fucking horrible. I'm just doing this for the money. Artists are fucking a million times more insufferable. Really quickly, before I keep being angry, I would mention that shout out to Cuba once again. Cuba has job guarantees for artists, where instead of the artist being subject to work at the individual level and sell their art and hawk it aggressively, there's simply programs where they just go and they're hired and they do their labor and they create, and they're paid by the government. There's state programs that address this. And that's done from Marxist-Leninism. Now, frustrating thing to talk about is intellectual property. And that is the bane of humanity, the bane of life. Diabetics are dying massively from this. Lithuania blocked a shipment of 440,000 COVID vaccines to a country because they did not like how that country voted on something. This violence is strictly upheld through intellectual property, and artists right now are incentivized to defend intellectual property. And that's not thought about because they're not looking that far. They're not analyzing things internationally. They're focused on their bag, and that's it. this is how it goes. When you talk about AI and generative AI stealing art, that the foundation of that is that artists should have the intellectual property to their work. Now, this is where things get messy, because you're now talking about ownership. You're not talking about labor anymore. These are two very different things. And the petty bourgeois basis and ideology of the vast majority of artists is leading them to uphold their own fucking demise. But it's not their demise, because we live in relation to each other. So their lack of progress, their lack of solidarity affects everyone. Intellectual property and patents are the reason that so many farmers and countries are made to buy crops from the US, to buy seeds that last one season, and then they have to buy them again. This is intellectual property. This is part of capitalism. This is part of class relations. And there's a lot of examples I could talk about, but I want to end this on a nice note, or a less angry note at least. And just say, like, you know, artists and self-employed people, the precarity that they're in and the continuous focus on the individual effort to meet their needs. This is the foundation where they should be fucking radicalized to fuck and say, holy shit, this isn't working. I need to make collective action. I need to join ongoing revolutionary struggle. I need to support collective efforts made, because there's countless people out there in worse situations than me, and I'm fucking suffering. So God knows how many of them and what they're going through, how much violence they're facing. I need to join the fucking struggle too. So the correct path forwards is not complaining about AI. It's not complaining about losing work. It's not complaining about individual things that inconvenience you, that push you to defend intellectual property or class relations or any fucking other imperial bullshit in North America and NATO fucking hegemony, or any other fucking colonial shit in a North American state. The solution is studying the effective theory that has worked, the theory that dozens of countries have used, and that dozens of countries have been overthrown and destroyed for. This, of course, is Marxist-Leninism. I have more than 10 hours of theory that I would share with you for free to help you make progress, because we're all in relation to each other, and my people are dying hugely. More in South America than in North America, but that doesn't matter. Conditions are fucked up for colonized peoples everywhere. So these things are very, very, very personal. I had a bunch more stuff I wanted to say, but I don't want to make the video long. I think a lot of people kind of just tokenize the environmental argument, and they say, oh yeah, but it's bad for the environment. And it is, it absolutely is. But if you're concerned about the environment, are you doing any sort of organizing to destroy NATO and NATO hegemony and oil hegemony? And the answer is fucking no. And I knew numbers on it too. Like years ago, just Bitcoin, not all AI, not all crypto, not all of this, just Bitcoin was using 2% of the world's energy, which was the equivalent of Argentina. And at the time, that is also exactly how much green energy production was in the world. And a lot of people are also posting a fake letter in support of Studio Ghibli to weaponize some figure and say that, oh yeah, bro, he said don't do this. He talked shit about AI. He definitely did. But why are you pretending as if it's just tokenizing this guy, right? Like, the answers have been there for 140 years. Not only that, but there's been better and better writers who have written to our exact material conditions according to our history, our country, the things that are very, very, very dear to us. Like, there's writers who have gone through all of this. It's more relevant than ever. Why are people not studying this? Please, please, please study this. I'll help you. I have more than 10 hours of free work on this topic. Do you know how many fucking douchebags there are who are only just trying to get famous or trying to make money with this kind of stuff on TikTok, or getting sponsorships or YouTube shit or brand deals or endorsements or streaming? I'm not doing any of that shit. I just want to help people learn this stuff. Also, one last nugget of dystopia before finishing this video. DoorDash was sued into having to pay its own workers its own tips, because corporations have, in the last while, started keeping tips. And the volume of tips that was stolen from the workers was, I don't know if it was the total, but they've been sued into having to pay $17 million to its workers. And also related to gig work, just to mention quickly, gig work is always chock full of deregulation and loss of labor rights, which is exactly what the ruling class wants. But I'll end on a positive note and say that there's an organization or a union or some big ass shit going on, and a fuck ton of gig workers. I don't know how many, 10, 20, 30,000. And I forget which state, or if it's several states, but a whole bunch of them are working together to form like a collective union or something like that. Some kind of big ass organization to address their material conditions and take collective motherfucking action.